Who would have thought that an 8-month stay would turn into 7 years of my whole life? And it was the best decision I've ever made. Today I'll be sharing why I moved abroad, the lessons I've learned, and how moving abroad can change your life. Let's get into it. If you're new here, hi, and if you're back, welcome back. So you might be thinking to yourself, why would I move away from my comforts, away from everything that I know, my family, my friends, like my good job and all that stuff, to live in a country where I might not even know the language? I don't know what the people are like. I don't know who I'm gonna meet, what kind of stuff is even there. Will I be able to get like food that I like there? There's a lot of things that go into moving abroad. And that was something I experienced for myself. To talk about my life before I moved to China. And my life before was normal, I would say. So I had a job on the side. I was teaching Zumba, I was doing jiu-jitsu. I was in my early 20s, so I was dating. Yeah, I was doing life like a normal 20-year-old. And life was good, but it was a bit boring. I always knew that I wanted to travel. I wanted to experience something new just because I always knew that there was more to life than what was around me, especially where I grew up. Although my parents never pressured me to get a master's degree, I knew it was something that was expected in a way. So I knew that I wanted to utilize the time to get my master's and study at the same time. And the school that I went to was an opportunity to do that. The school that I attended, as well as some other schools that gave me the opportunity to travel abroad. And I just thought it was a good opportunity. But I was scared. And I enrolled and I deferred my enrollment because I was like, oh my God, would I really want to leave? 8 months is a long time. I don't know if I wanted to be away that long. Fast forward to the year, I knew I couldn't defer my enrollment another year, so confirmed my enrollment. 6 months later, I was on a plane headed to China. So originally the plan was to stay there only for 8 months because the program that I attended had locations all over the world, and it was going to only be 8 months in Shanghai, and then I was going to choose another campus, and I was going to rotate to a last campus in the United States and graduate there, and then start my life back in the United States. But 8 months turned into 7 years, and you wouldn't expect that, especially if you had all those fears in the beginning. So there's a couple ways that living abroad in China changed my life. The first way is by personal growth. There are some expectations that you have as an American, as a child of immigrants, as a Black woman, as a woman, as there's so many expectations that are put on you that you carry no matter where you go. And in a way, those expectations went out the window when I moved abroad. So, for example, the beauty standard, I think, is a big thing. So I did grow up around a lot of Caucasian people, and when you grow up around Caucasian people, it challenges what you find as beautiful. You don't look like them, so you think that you're not beautiful. So flash forward to going to China, where, again, I don't fit the standard. In China, the beauty standard for women is being very, very skinny, tall with long legs, fair-skinned, and you have to have like a very pointy face and very round eyes and long hair and so forth. And I didn't fit any of the standards. I mean, at the time I wasn't super chubby, but I wasn't super skinny. I'm obviously not fair-skinned. I have the big eyes and the long legs. Wish my legs are longer than my torso. That's a whole nother thing. But in my mind, I didn't fit the beauty standard in the United States, and I didn't fit the beauty standard in China. And instead of me fighting those like, oh, why am I not pretty? Why am I not pretty? It challenged me to form my own path of my own self-acceptance, in my own beauty, in my own self-worth and everything. And, not saying that you need validation, but when you need validation from other people, but when you accept those things for yourself, that self-acceptance shines through, and it does elevate your beauty. It elevates how you feel about yourself and how people perceive you with that energy. Another thing that you definitely learn living in China is patience, just because there's a lot of cultural barriers as well as language barriers that you need to get over. And although there's different languages and different cultures, across the world, we're not that different. And if you could see those similarities and connect with those, it makes life so much easier. And to be able to see those similarities, you need to have patience in order to understand and accept and go through the motions in order to be a good global citizen, especially when you live in a different country. Another thing is understand, like, divert that what you know is different than what is known outside of the world. You can't expect to have the same levels of comfort that you would have living at home. And I think that's a big understanding, like, learning how to navigate and adapt and understand and try new things. In that, I remember literally my first 12 hours in China, I woke up to a message in our group chat on WeChat, which is kind of like WhatsApp in China. And someone was like, hey, do you want pancakes? I'm like, hell yeah, pancakes. I love pancakes. I want to go to get pancakes. So, we walk, I'm thinking syrup, butter, yummy stuff. Mind you, these were scallion pancakes. And I was like, what the hell is this? I'm expecting maple syruply goodness. And again, mindset, you change it. I'm in China. This is their version of pancake, which it ended up being so delicious. So being able to accept and be like, step outside of your comfort zone to see different things is super important and something that helps you grow as you navigate your own life. Another thing, how my life was changed from living abroad, is that now I have so many awesome friends from all over the world. And not even saying friends in the respect of, oh yeah, I think as Americans, you have this tendency to be like, oh, my friend so-and-so, when it's just some lady you pass by in the street or something. But I could truly say that I have friends that I can lean on, that I've seen them grow in our experience in China. And this is not only Chinese friends, but my global friends, because my master's program had people from all over the world. So I could genuinely say that I have friends from every continent, people that I can sit, like, when I eventually get married, who I will definitely invite to my wedding, people that I could, if I text them and be like, hey, can you help me with something? They'll be like, how can I help? What can I do for you? And the thing is, like, again, these barriers are built between us. And when you realize that, again, we're similar, you meet some of the most amazing and genuine people you'll ever meet in your whole entire life. Another thing is that these global friends teach you a perspective that you wouldn't have gotten from just living in the United States. And let's be real, like, yes, we have in the US right now, we have so many different cultures, but we're so segmented off that we don't reach out to other people to understand people. And a lot of the stuff we get is from, like, stereotypes or from media or from what the news tells us. We won't go full. I remember I have a friend from Angola, his perspective of what Gaddafi meant to the Libyan people while he was alive. And the thing is, we learned something different in the United States, which is crazy. I have German friends that they teach me about the German's perspective on nationalism and how they shy away from that. So again, these are perspectives from a few friends, but it's so interesting to get to learn and to talk and to culturally exchange and to crack jokes and have that baseline of friendship. Came to career, one thing that is in general, but which is so important, that without any friends, family, anyone going with you, is that you learn how to make and foster connections. And that can be important for not only your social circle, but for business, for work, for anything. And just being a genuinely good and friendly person, despite who you are, is so important. So even for me, I was fortunate when I was graduating that I landed a job, right? Mind you, didn't make the most money from it, but it was still a job, and it allowed me the opportunity to stay in China, which is what I wanted. And I know that a lot of my friends weren't as lucky as me. Like, they wanted to stay, but they couldn't secure a job. Mind you, they secured a lot better, higher paying jobs outside of China. I know a lot of them didn't want to leave. And I attribute me being able to land that job by me reaching out, being friendly, and just being myself. And it was literally me talking to one of the career coaches. I guess it was a career coach, or basically one of the career staff in my school. And I literally was like, hey, how are you? How's your day going? She's like, oh, great. Oh, thank you for asking. Da, 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 da. And she was like, hey, you do social media, right? That's what's on your resume. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, I have a friend that works at this marketing agency. Let me submit your resume there. I'm sure they can use you. And that's how I landed that job. And you make friends. Like there's friends that I made at that marketing agency that I made from that marketing agency that led me to another job, to another job, to another job. So those connections are so important, and being able to do that not only within the Chinese culture, but global culture. After that long rant, here's some stuff that you can learn for yourself, especially if you consider moving abroad. Most of the stuff is the same. A lot of the stuff is me moving to China, but here's some things that you can do for yourself. The main things, there are 5 main things that you need to keep in mind if you're considering moving abroad. Number 1, do your research. Like, I know that especially with social media, things look super glamorous, and you want to be like, oh my God, yeah, I would totally look cool living in this place. But maybe the expenses that you have might not match the lifestyle that you want living in that place. So always do your research. Also, if you are a Black woman, make sure you understand what the racial climate is for Black people over there. Most places like Asia, there's no problems. You're gonna experience racism everywhere, but just make sure you do your research. Number 2, get your finances in order if you can. Just because, like most places, the cost of living is lower, but you never know. So I would say in conjunction with doing your research, make sure that you have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses living in that place, so you could at least afford rent, food, utilities, internet, all that stuff, so you don't have any problems. Because I'm thinking about that girl that moved to Thailand or to Japan, and then she ended up in Thailand with no money. Biggest fear ever. Number 3, I think everything is do research, but like try to be culturally sensitive to where you're going. Like, especially if you're American, I know we're, as Americans, we're like big and bad, and we're like, yeah, America, all that stuff. Like, be mindful of what the culture is when you go there. And just keep in mind that people are very welcoming to America, so we have that perception of being friendly and open and all that stuff. Just make sure you understand the cultures. And like, even if you don't have to learn the language, but if you're going to, make sure you pick up a couple of phrases, or like think about customs. So like, for example, bowing in certain Asian cultures, or like dressing up modestly in more Muslim or Arabic countries, so on and so forth. Make sure your papers are in order in terms of like passports and everything like that, just because there's certain countries that won't let you get a visa if you don't have enough passport pages, or if you're going for a certain type of visa, you need to have certain requirements. So, for example, when I taught my last 2 years in China, you needed like have your degrees notarized, and you had to go through like a specific Chinese notarization. So I had to have my mom send my I didn't have my, believe it or not, I graduated in Shanghai, and I sent my degree home with my mom. And so last time where we left off, I was talking about number 4, making sure that your papers are right. And I want to talk about the notarization process, and like how, because I didn't prepare, it was a little bit tedious and expensive. So although I had my degrees in China, like I had not my bachelor's degree, but my master's degree, I had sent it home to my mom when I graduated, because I didn't need it. And then a few years later, my mom was like, I texted my mom like, hey, can you send me my degree, because I need it now? And she was just like, oh my God, it's going to cost so much money. Yeah. So just make sure I know everything, the baseline is research, but just make sure that you have all your papers together. Number 5, be adaptable. And I say this because the thing is, in any part of our lives, we make plans for things, how we envision things to be. And we say like, okay, step 1, we're going to do this, and step 2, we're going to do this. And then it's going to be the outcome that I want. And God has other plans for you. I believe in God, but the universe, whoever you believe in, or whatever you believe in, sometimes the plan is going to deviate you in a different direction. So you have to be adaptable to whatever life throws at you, especially when you live in a foreign country. So yeah, some things that help with that adaptability is learning about the culture, learning a little bit of the language, so on and so forth. I talked about that previously, but I just wanted to reiterate that. And that's it. I just wanted to share these life lessons with you. And if you made it this far, let me know in the comments. Is there someone that you've always wanted to travel abroad to? If you've lived abroad, what are some of the biggest life lessons that you learned while living and preparing to live abroad? As always, like, share, and subscribe. And remember, wherever life takes you, keep seeking adventure and chasing the unknown. See you next time.